Bismillah. Okay, start again. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise to Allah. We seek His aid and His assistance and ask His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our souls and from the evil of our actions. Whomever Allah guides, no one will be able to mislead him. Whomever He leads astray, nobody can guide him. Astaghfirullah. I testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah alone, without partner, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his slave and messenger. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shli sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. My Lord, open my chest and ease my task for me. Remove the impediment from my speech so that they may understand what I say. I love that dua, subhanAllah. Sometimes we come together in these sessions and, you have an idea what you want to share. Your mind goes blank. But you can always trust that Allah will always help you, alhamdulillah, to find the best way to share what you want to share. What do I want to share today? So sisters, I was in a jovial mood when I wrote your invitation to today's session. I was just thinking about, many of the sisters who I speak to who struggle, like I have done for so long, with parts of the role that I accept from Allah, but that I struggle with. So it's so common, it's such a struggle sometimes, and yet other times it's not. And as I've been coaching and as I've been thinking about it, I was thinking, yes, I get it. I submit to Allah that, this is part of my role. This is what I have to do. Waking up every morning, the kitchen is always the same. It still needs the same amount after every meal. There's that laborious type of work that comes with looking after your home. Sometimes, with the children, it can be laborious. Saying that, though, when you're working as well, your tasks can be laborious. Generally, the things we have to do aren't always the things we want to do. That's the slight struggle. So I have it for all of you sisters. And that is, do you like the dishes? Do you like washing the dishes? Because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, right? So on the chat box, please. Do you struggle with the dishes? It's never ending. It's kind of you clear the sink, you come back. I've cleared the kitchen. 10 minutes before the session, I thought, I'll clear the kitchen. I know when I go back down, subhanAllah, it's going to be probably how it was or worse. And I can't, short of getting a dishwasher, and I still have, subhanAllah, I still have a dishwasher and I'm complaining about the kitchen. Look at that, right, about the dishes. But it does build up very quickly, and I think that's what it is. It's like you want to leave the house in a certain state, and then you come back and it's never in that state. It's kind of like, like the Groundhog Day moment where every day you're doing the same thing over and over. Some sisters are saying dishes are therapeutic, and the dishwasher was a lifesaver. Alhamdulillah, I know what you mean, Sister Amina. And yeah, sometimes you can like doing it, absolutely, and other times, it's this constant repetition, I think, that makes it difficult. Or if you're in a rush, you know what it is? It's because probably it falls down to you. It's the responsibility. Because the dishes are just the dishes. Sometimes, like most of you sisters are saying, sometimes you wash it and it's okay, you know, and sometimes, you know, you enjoy it, sometimes therapeutic, and sometimes, you know, it is frustrating. And it does come down to, is it the dishes? Is it the any of those jobs? Or is it the responsibility? That yes, we accept, but parts of it we don't like. So I was sharing in the message the story of how I was applying for, you know, I was advertising for a home help. My work was getting busy. I was thinking, you know what, I'm not going to be able to manage everything. Let me get someone a few hours a day that can help me. And it was sounded like a dream come true. You know, give someone all the jobs I didn't really want to do. But in Allah's wisdom, I didn't find that home help. And it wasn't like I wasn't going to pay well, but I didn't find the home help. And that was an incredible thing for me, because then we went into lockdown, and actually the thing I didn't want to do, I was doing a lot more of it all the time, and this responsibility was, you know, was now even heavier. And as I talk to my clients about, you know, getting to the place where you can enjoy what you do because it's an act of worship. And I share a story that I'm going to share with you now. And as we talk about this, you know, of enjoying what you do, because everything is an act of ibadah. Everything is based on your intention, even your sleep, you can be rewarded for. And so all of the tasks that we're doing, it's a reward for us, inshallah. So, you know, I talk about this, and I've been talking about that for years, and I share a story about a monk, actually, who, you know, many of you may have already heard me share this if you've worked with me before. The monk, you know, they live in a monastery, and his friend comes over, you know, to stay with him, his, you know, fellow monk. And in this monastery, they all have jobs to do. They're all, you know, take certain jobs, and they do their jobs, you know, like preparing dinner or doing the dishes, cleaning up, as you would in any home. And then afterwards they sit and have tea together, you know, and everyone loves that moment where all the jobs are done and they have tea together. Probably sounds like our lives, you know. And a friend comes over and says, you know what, I'll help you. I'll help you with dishes. A lot of monks, you know, a lot of dishes, I'll help you. And the monk says to him, it's really kind of you, but you're not going to be able to do it. And he says, what do you mean? They're just dishes. I can do dishes. And he said, well, so you can wash dishes and you wash them, but in your mind, you're constantly thinking, well, when am I going to be done? When am I going to be done? When I'm done, I'm going to do this. When this is done, I'm going to be doing this. So you're doing something now, but you're really thinking about what you'll be doing later. Or you can wash the dish as if every dish was an act of worship. And I've shared that story so many times because actually, wow, subhanAllah, when I am able to remember Allah and be so conscious of Allah, that yes, every dish is an act of worship. Everything that I'm doing is an act of worship. If I'm that conscious, there's Mina's doing the dishes now. No multitasking, there's Mina. You have to stop. But yeah, if you do the dishes, you know, whatever we are doing, sisters, is an act of worship, right? If we're conscious of Allah. That's why we say Bismillah. Bismillah is what connects you to Allah. It reminds you of Allah. Now, we can say this loosely on our tongues, but if we connect our hearts to Allah before we do that, so it's not just just doing it, you know, from your tongue, but from your heart. You remember why you do it. You make your intention. And that's amazing. You know, and in that way, yes, you can love what you do. Because you're not actually doing the dishes, you're worshipping Allah. And so your mindset's very different. So yes, as I said, I've been sharing that story for a few years now because that's always inspired me. However, here's the slight problem. I'm not always in that state where I'm remembering to focus my intention on Allah, or to be doing my dhikr as I'm doing the dishes. In fact, often I've got a child talking to me, someone asking me a question, someone asking me for my attention some other way, so my mind is, elsewhere, or I'm thinking about, I become like the monk who's thinking about the next thing I have to do. We're often multitasking. We're so busy, not even just in our minds, but with our hands. Does this resonate, sisters? What would you say? Yeah. So there was the one problem that when I would remember, then that's great. It really felt different. I was present and I felt the blessing and the barakah of what I was doing, but I don't live constantly in that state. And so therefore, I was also struggling with, there's some jobs I just don't like. I don't mind doing the dishes and having a nice, empty sink, but I don't like walking into the kitchen and seeing the dishes full. I just don't like that. Yes, Sister Rosina, it is sometimes quite overwhelming. And so we've been talking and, amongst sisters that I've been working with. And one of the things I realized was, yes, we submit. We submit to the sake of Allah. We submit to doing it for the sake of Allah. And as you're remembering Allah in that moment, you're doing your azkar, you're purifying your intention. It's an amazing moment. But what about when you forget? What about the jobs you hate? What about the responsibility that is yours, but you don't always feel? Thank you. Oh, someone's unmuted themselves. There we go. The responsibility that you don't always actually want. I was honest actually once with myself and realizing I just don't like some of those jobs I have to do. But that's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough housewife. It didn't mean anything about me. We have our preferences, and for all of us, our roles are hard. Equally for, when we have to work and provide, it's very hard sometimes if you don't enjoy what you do. Now, the thing is, I love what I do for my work. So I've, alhamdulillah, I'm not in that place anymore where I hate going to work and I'm turning up and my mind is elsewhere because I don't really want to be here. But I do get that sometimes with the housework. And I'm sure all of us do. Now, the first thing to say about that is it doesn't mean anything about you, right? It doesn't mean that, in any way we are failures. But what about finding a love of what you do instead of not liking what you do? Right? Because I accept I have to do it. I submit to Allah. That is my responsibility. I accept that there's many parts of my roles that I don't like. And that's where I was struggling. What about if I could grow to love them? What do you think, sisters? Would that help? Do you see that there are jobs that you don't like, though you do them? And that's where the struggle comes in, whatever it is, because whatever the jobs are. And what if you could actually learn to love them? Yeah, am I saying that? Am I all right? This early in the morning. See, what happened is I realized something. When we are making it just about ourselves and Allah, right? Whatever we're doing, because this applies to every aspect of our roles. I'm talking about the dishes. I'm keeping it simple. But actually, there's things for our children that we might be doing that we don't like. There's things for our husbands we might be doing that we don't like. There's things we're doing for our in-laws we might not like. There's things we're doing for our parents we might not like. That just, you know, it's everywhere, right? Roxanara, not sure how I can learn to love cleaning the cooker extractor. I'm not sure I can help you with that one, sis. But I'll try. So we're talking about the things that you struggle with because you don't like doing it. So before I go on, share it. Okay, Sister Sadia says, I don't like cooking, but I have no choice. Right, what is it you don't like doing? Sisters, tell me, what don't you like doing? Let's see. Because one, you're going to see that we don't do it for, you know, we're all the same. We're not different. Anyone who looks like they're the perfect housewife or the perfect housekeeper or wife or cook, parent, it doesn't exist. Okay, so we've got putting the ironing away, cooking the dishes, ironing. I don't like ironing, actually. I used to, but I think it's when there's a lot of it. Laundry, putting laundry away. Oh yeah. Scrubbing and cleaning. You know what? I don't like scrubbing and cleaning anymore. I've become really tired of it. Cleaning the shower. Yep, I'm with you there, Rosina. Don't like that. And the shower screen. Ironing, cooking. I love cleaning, Iram says. Mashallah. But is cooking what you don't like? And what you can probably see there, sisters, is actually we're not any different. You know, there's some things we like, there's some things we don't. So the model of just doing it for the sake of Allah that I was talking about, that's where, you know what, you remove whoever and whatever you're doing out of your mind, and you focus just on Allah, and it's just you and Allah. It's almost like it's just you and Allah in that room. You know, you're only doing it for Him. You don't see anyone else. You don't see anything else. Right? So, you know, it's not you see the dishes, but you're seeing that's a worship. Not, you know, it's just you and Allah, and you're doing it for the sake of Allah. But that doesn't help. And that's a state that, you know, of ihsan that we want to stay there. And definitely to stay there all the time. But if you're doing it just you and Allah, as if the other person doesn't exist, then you can get slightly disconnected from your family. You know, you're doing it, but it's not helping the connection between you and your family, because it's like they're not there. Yeah. Nadira says doing the same things become mundane, boring, you know, like cooking and cleaning. Yeah. So has anyone struggled with that? Tell me. You've been doing it for the sake of Allah, you focus on Allah, you're doing your zikr, you know, you focus on Allah, but then you feel a bit disconnected from your family. It's as if no one else is there. Yes, Sister Shamili says yes. Yeah, Nadira. And so that's not something that we really want either. We don't want to be disconnected. In fact, not only do we want those acts of worship to be a reward for us, and we want them to bring us closer to Allah, we also want them to improve the connection between our families members, right? We want that connection to be good. Sorry, so many messages coming, I'm getting distracted. Okay, I'm not going to look for a minute. Lose my train. So we want that connection to be good. So sisters, leave aside the dishes for a moment. Tell me, what makes a good connection between you and your family? What can you do? Right, relationships. I want you to think of relationships like a cake. Everyone each person in that response, in that relationship, is adding ingredients to that cake. So when you are, and the cake, the result of that cake is going to be what you both put in. What can we do when we're doing the housework? Well, okay, so there's Mia saying spending time connecting. Oh, I have a little friend that's come to visit. Yes, Maria. Assalamualaikum.
Mommy.
Yeah. Somebody's come for some milk. Okay. What can you do? Right, playing with kids. Right, these are great things, and I'm really glad that you're sharing this, because aside from the point I'm making, it's really, really good for us to share all the ideas that we have and the things that work for us in connecting with our family members. Right, communication, playing with the children, spending time connecting. Let them help you too. These are all great ideas, mashallah, great things that work. Just enjoying the moment. Yes, Sister Rosina, absolutely. None of my family like doing any housework. Absolutely. I don't think it's something that many people enjoy all the time. Teaching the children to cook, to bake, laughter. Sister Roxanara doing something together, thinking positive. Sister Farhana, when you feel like you're working as part of a team, absolutely, right? These are great things that build that relationship. But sometimes you're on your own doing the dishes. Sometimes you're on your own cooking. Sometimes those responsibilities take over and we're not able to spend that time together as we want to. So these are ideals that, we're able to do a little bit at a time, but I'm probably sure you're finding that most of the time, you're probably caught up in a lot of the work, the jobs that you have to do. Would you agree? Yeah. So here's what I would say to you, sisters. Sorry, lots of more messages. Exactly, Sister Rosina. It makes me feel stressed of what I should be doing. Right. Now, that's the thing. You should be spending time with your family, and you should be looking after them, and you should be doing the jobs. So there's so many shoulds. Shoulds are sometimes the prison of which we live in. But what if you could love doing those jobs because it was an act of showing your family that you love them? What if it was doing what you love, doing what you don't, doing what you have to do? Sorry, let me rephrase. Doing what you have to do because you're doing it for the ones who you love. Right? So you're doing what you have to do. That's the act of worship to Allah. I have to do it. I accept it, Allah. I submit. But doing it from a place of love, not from a place of a job that has a tick list, an end that I'm trying to get to, that I never get to. But what if I was doing it from a space of love to show my family I love them? This is how I'm showing you I love you. Because I love my family, I'm doing it. Because I love my family, I'm their clothes. Them. Love is the ingredients that you put in your cake, in everything that you do. Sister Roxanara says, because it brings such barakah when you put love in what you're doing. And Sister Amina says, this is how our parents showed their love, by cooking, cleaning and feeding us. And we're going on and doing all the other things, like spending quality time together, the laughter, the teamwork, we're doing all those things. But also, we can't deny that we have to do the other things like the cooking and the cleaning. And so much time goes on that. Can you do it from a place of love? So I want you to be really honest with yourself, sisters, and think about when you are doing that job you don't like. So think about the job you don't like. What place are you coming from? Is it a place of, I don't want to be doing this, I really don't like this, why am I doing this? Stop for a moment and think about the thoughts that are going through your mind. Okay, I just want it over with. There's a negativity. What else, sisters? It's really important that we can see this. The change won't come until we see where we're at. Okay, if you don't know what's the negative space, go a bit more deeper. What are the thoughts that you're having? Sister Farhana, you feel like you're taken for granted? Yeah, I felt that so much. I remember feeling like nobody cares what I have to do and cope with. You know, they can just get on and go and have fun and do the things they enjoy. I can't do the things I enjoy. Those were some of my thoughts. If you don't do it, no one will. You know, can't do this anymore. Just need to get it done. I have so much to do. I need a break. My cooking will be criticized. No wonder then when you're cooking, you just can't enjoy it if you're thinking that. But, you know, it may be. That's what happens. But yeah, I could see how that would make it not enjoyable. I just think it's a never-ending chore. And then I think, why does everyone have so much along with it? You know, why should everyone should help? Yeah, everyone should help. That's the thought. Yeah, feeling like we're taken for granted. Feels like children think it's your job. Full stop. Yeah, they do. You know, and here's the thing. It is ultimately our responsibility, I guess. We can assign it. We can delegate. That must have sounded like, oh yeah, of course, that makes sense. That's obvious. I know that. Yeah, sure. I try that. But as Sister Rosina says, your frame of mind plays a big part. There's a difference always between what we know, what is obvious, and actually where we're at and what we're doing. If there are jobs that we don't love doing, yeah, okay, we may not love them. But do we have to, why don't we love them? Is it actually because of all these faults? Yes. Because whatever you think to yourself, if you believe it, you will. So it's no and believing those things like no one helps. Why is it just me? You know, why is everyone taking me for granted? If we're having those thoughts, we're not going to enjoy it. That's the very reason why we're not enjoying it, because of the thoughts that we're having. And we're so used to having them, it's like autopilot. It's been there for so long. So what I really wanted today was to help you all to see why you're not enjoying it. And ask yourself the reason that you've given me today of why you don't, of the thoughts that go through your mind. Is it true? Is it true? So give it a moment and think to yourself. Just because we believe it doesn't make it true. Is it true? Ooh, video game. Okay. So, yeah, it's not true. Roxanara, I feel like I'm a maid, but I'm not a maid. No, see, that's not true. You feel like a maid because you think like a maid. If you think you're a maid, then you're going to feel like it. So, and we're not just the mum, yeah. Actually, that's the highest status that Allah has given creation, you know, in terms of our roles. But you see, Sister Fiona, you say, keep saying it over and over, I'm not a servant. But we're a servant of Allah. And the way that we can serve Allah is by serving His creation. But we can do it from a bitter place, and a place where we resent doing it, and that will show through. Your cake will have that ingredient in it, that slight resentment and bitterness, that will show through. But if you start doing it for the sake of Allah, yes, but with the ingredients of love, that this is how, one of the ways I'm showing you I love you. And in fact, acts of service are one of the languages of love, one of the 5 languages of love. So yes, we're serving Allah by serving his creations, right? But we're also loving our family by doing these jobs. Bringing the two hand in hand. The submission to Allah, and the connection and the love in what you do. You see, when you love something, you're going to get out of your way. Even more so. You're going to make it special. You're going to think of the little touches. You know, you'll make a pie and you'll probably put a heart on it, you know, but you will start, if you're thinking love, you will feel love. And you will give love. You won't feel the irritation, the resentment. If you're feeling love, it will show through in everything you're doing, in the smile on your face, in the way you serve it, in the way you present it. So I want you to think about now, then, let's go back to the love mindset. I want you to think about why all the things that you love about your family, all the things you love about your home, not just grateful for, let's take it even more, loving. That you're actually able to do that. Whatever you're able to do, whatever it is, it may not be to your standard of what would be perfect to do and how well I'd like to do it. That's not real. We're not the standard, we're just who we are. And even if Sister Sana says, you know, you're criticized, still do it. Yeah. Work without the hurt. Absolutely, Sister Tahmina. Can we leave the hurt aside? And still, and this is where the mercy comes in. You know how Allah says he puts love and mercy between you, right? The love is easy sometimes because I'm giving it and I get it back. But what if I'm giving it and I'm not getting it back? I think that's where the mercy comes in. Sorry, sisters, 1 second. Let me just grab her. That's where big sister helps. Alhamdulillah. Hand it over Mariam to big sister. Yeah, what if actually, even when you're not getting the love back, because come on, this is a bigger issue. We could have another whole talk on this, and maybe we should. But what about when you're giving love and you're not getting love back? That's where the mercy comes in, sisters. Can I still show you love for the sake of Allah? Can I still love you, even if you're not always showing me love? Think about that. So there's loads of points that I've raised here. And I think it's going to lead us to a great discussion in the breakout rooms. I'm going to split us into groups of, let's see, 3 to 4. And then in the discussion, let's have a discussion about it. Right, so where are you coming from? What mindset are you coming from the work that you're doing? Share that, talk about it. The more you see it, the more you ask yourself and ask each other, is that true? The more that belief will weaken. right? Because that's why you're feeding it. Otherwise, you're going to hear great stuff from me today. You're going to want to do it, but before you know it, you're going to fall back into your default. Why? Because the belief is still there. So when you're doing the thing you don't like, I want you to talk about with each other in the group, please, what am I thinking when I don't like it, when I see it, when I'm doing it? What are my thoughts? What am I believing? And then question each other and say, is that true? Right? Because that will help each of you for that to kind of go away. And then loving others, even if they don't love you back. If you're there, if you're serving them, then Allah loves that for you, for the time that you're there. And we're not talking about abusive situations here, sisters, but we're just talking about loving our family and doing things for our children and those around us and the people that Allah puts in our lives. Sometimes we're doing things for people who don't give us the love back. But in that moment, can you find the mercy within you to still do it? Because often, nobody can give us what we want back from them. It seems so easy in our minds, but actually that's even such a high standard that no one can reach. So I'm going to break us out into rooms. Those are the discussion points and anything else that's come up for you. And then we'll regroup and have just a bit of sharing before we leave. Okay? So I'll start now. There'll be 3 or 4, but some great messages, mashallah, from all of you. Now let's share that amongst ourselves. Bismillah. You'll get an invitation to join a room, and so just click accept. And what's the time? How about we'll stay there for 10 minutes and then we'll come back and rejoin. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, all this time I've been talking and I have I was muted, so I couldn't hear you and you couldn't hear me. So I'm really sorry about that. I hope that the breakout rooms were full of great discussion. We had a great discussion in our room. Sister Farhana was actually really nicely summarized what she got from today's session. But I think it's really, really relevant to everyone. And it brings in the big word of tiredness. So I wanted to share that with you. Sister Farhana, would you be able to unmute yourself and share with us?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam. So what did you see, sis, from the session kind of more deeply that you were sharing with us?
Yeah, I was just saying that for me personally, there's a difference in the kind of tiredness that I feel. I can feel happy tired when I'm feeling quite relaxed and I'm also tired. And I can feel tired when I feel resentful, angry, upset, and also tired. And what I took from your talk was that it's not really the task for me that's difficult. It's all of the kind of feelings that I have around that task. As I mentioned, I'm a stepmom. I have 4 stepchildren, and I've also got a little one myself now, my first child, our 5th child. And so I do feel quite often very tired, but I also feel very overwhelmed. I can feel resentful. I often feel like there's too much mess. Why is this my job? And as a new mum, I'm amazed at how much mums are expected to do. So when I was listening to your talk, I was looking at my own situation and I was thinking, I actually have so many negative feelings about the task at hand. And if I was to remove those feelings, and if I was to realize this is, as you mentioned, acts of service and a way of showing love to my family and all the other things that you mentioned, it's a bit like how we would tackle cleaning someone else's house. We would just be looking at the job and not all of the negative feelings. And I think the tiredness would feel different to us in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Jazakallah khair, sister, for sharing. Actually, sister, it's so true. You know what you're saying. It's never the task, but all of your thinking about the task. But if you know, the sister that we were talking to before that, she was saying how, you know, it's the tiredness that gets to her, and then when she's tired, she has all these extra thinking. And I was thinking about myself, and I think, is there ever a moment I'm not tired? Hands up, sisters, if there's ever a moment when you're not tired. It's just one of those things. I think I'm always in a state of tiredness. But I rarely realise when I'm not, because I'm always thinking tired. Does that make sense? Because I'm always thinking in a tired way. I'm never aware of the times when actually I'm not. Okay, maybe after exercising I feel energetic. But do you know what I mean about living in a state of tiredness, that it's almost become your default mindset?
It's because your brain is working so much and so hard.
Absolutely.
That you don't have any physical energy remaining. Because I can, well, I could kind of be an ambassador for that right now. Because yeah, because well, I'm on medication for anxiety and depression, and it's a constant thing of racing thoughts, resentful feelings, angry feelings, low feelings. It's just, yeah, it's just your brain just goes on and on and on. And sometimes I even feel like last night I just felt like I didn't sleep, because you know what I was thinking kind of just continued even in my dreams.
Oh, I hate that when that happens.
Yeah, so you're just so mentally, it's strange that when you're physically tired, you can still do like things. Like if you have to cook, you do end up cooking. Okay, I just need to wash this one dish and things like that. But when you're mentally tired, even the slightest thing, like just, taking the food out of the fridge and heating it up feels like, why can't somebody just do this for me and give me my food in a plate and make me eat it? And, even that feels like too much.
Yeah. Wouldn't you just love for someone to actually take the housework off you for one day? Just say, right, you've got nothing to do today. It's just all, yeah, just one day where someone serves you. And then we realize actually the value of what our parents did for us.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
But you're absolutely right. And one sister that I was talking to in our room, she said, it's the tiredness. And I said, sister, how much of it do you think is the physical tiredness and how much of it is the mental tiredness?
It's mainly the mental tiredness,
I
would say. Yeah.
Because if you are tired physically, you can carry on. But when you're tired mentally, that's almost the blanket of the heavy blanket that hangs over you the whole day.
Because I've noticed, like, if I go up to the high street, kind of, do look around in shops, have a bit of change of mind, even though I'm so tired, physically tired, because I've walked up to there, done all this shopping, come back walking with the heavy bags and stuff, I'm still able to do what I need to do at home. But if I'm, if from morning my brain has been so tired, thinking and thinking and thinking and overthinking and all of that, then even though I haven't done anything since morning, I still feel I can't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's not the physical, it's more of the mental tiredness we feel, definitely.
Yeah. And with that comes from even being aware that that's what it is. Today, if we're becoming aware of that, that's a huge step, because you know what? You have a choice what you want to think about. You have a choice of whether you want to keep thinking in a way that is not serving you and your family and helping you, or you have a choice to think differently. And we all have a choice of whether we overthink or not. And you know what? It does take a while to really see that choice, because sometimes you feel like, you know, you're being swept from one thought to another, as if you're just being taken from one to another. But the moment that you remind yourself, I have a choice. So, you know, if you're feeling like overwhelmed, resentful, ask yourself, what am I thinking? What's going on upstairs, right? Ask yourself. And then remind yourself, you have a choice. You have a choice if you want to keep thinking like that. And you have a choice if you want to think in a way that's going to make you feel great. It's intentional thinking. Like, I love looking after my family. I love making a nice meal for them. I love having the house nice and tidy for them. I love that I'm using my time to love my family. Make yourself all about love, sisters. Make yourself an embodiment of love, that everyone around you who comes to you feels the love. Now, like the act of worship and remembering of Allah, you're not always going to remember. But as your default may have always become now, I'm just tired, you could change your default to I'm just love. If you could become default tired, then surely you can become default love. Okay. Now we have so many messages coming up. Someone else would like to unmute themselves maybe and share what they discussed in their room before we'll take one last comment. But the messages are great. There's so many, I won't probably be able to read them all. Who would like to share something?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam, Sister Sabina. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for the session today. We had an interesting discussion in our group. So we were talking about our intention when doing an action. So then we spoke about the example. Do you know when we do things for our parents, you know, while we're living with our parents, we do it so easily. And then say when we've moved on and we're living with in-laws, that same chore becomes more difficult because we don't have the same love for them that we had for our parents.
Yeah.
So then we have to take that intention that we're doing, you know, these chores for the sake of Allah. So we spoke about intention as well, makes a difference to the zeal we have in doing an action.
Yeah, absolutely. It so does. And you know what? Sometimes even if you don't love the person you're doing the thing for, like it could be, I don't know, a neighbor, for example. So you may not necessarily have that strong love and connection, but you're doing something, you know, for them that they've asked you for help with. It's not about, and one of the sisters said this so well. She said, to do it from a place of love is to do it with no expectation of anything back. Just like you do with your parents, you just want to give them the best of you. So, you know, we don't have to, it might not be that you always love everything about the person that you're doing it for, but can you love that Allah gave you this role? Can you love that whoever you're doing it for is a creation of Allah? Can you love that Allah's given you an opportunity? Can you love that when you serve Allah by serving his creation, that he will love you more? There's so much to love, but it's changes everything. Just like resentment changes, like the the feel of whatever you do. Love will change whatever you do, the feel of whatever you do. You know, you'll be chirpy and you'll be fun-loving. You'll be, you know, not all the time. I'm not setting up that expectation, but when you're conscious and thinking about it more and more, it will become your default. And more, it will become easier and fun-loving and just easy. And guess what? As a side bonus, imagine living in a state of love rather than a state of tiredness. How different would your life look? Sister Lubna, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to say that. I've tried for many years the selflessness of being able to give from a place of just love, and I have girls, and mashallah, one of them said to me, "Mama, you're very selfless in the way that you give."
Mashallah.
But I realized that what I'd forgotten was I had to love myself too, and have rahmah on myself too. And because I forgot that, I didn't model it to my girls either. And so I realized that it is a balance, because it's so easy to just be giving, and then you raise the expectations. That's what I found, that I raised the expectations that that you are a source of love, and that, you know, that, but then it doesn't mean that you've trained others to, because you're trying to do it from a point where you're saying, okay, I don't expect anything back. You're actually not teaching others to love you.
And I guess, you know what it is? It's not wanting anything back in terms of giving and it's only one way. But I completely hear what you're saying. You know what it is? When you love yourself, that will be what keeps you in check from taking advantage of yourself.
Yeah.
The loving of all of Allah's creation includes you first and foremost. You know, so yes, I can do the dishes and I can lovingly do the dishes, you know, out of love for my family. But does that mean that I'm not going to say anything if they're constantly bringing dishes down for the sake of bringing it down and using it and not reusing the glass, for example? No, I will still say something. It doesn't mean you make yourself a doormat. You know, it's not what it, when I have to do it, I will do it. But do I always have to do it? That's another question. You know, do I have to do everything? That's another question. I don't. I have a rota and everyone helps out. You know, I don't think, I'm not advocating that just as women we have to take on everything and do it. I'm saying whatever is your responsibility, even that you have can be difficult and heavy and laborious, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you take it all on.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yes, so I'm glad you raised that, because that's really, really important. Otherwise, that would be expecting too much of ourselves, and it would not be setting the structure that we want to teach our children about teamwork. I'm all for teamwork. I have a rota on the fridge and everyone has their jobs. You know, if I ask someone to do something, it's like, oh, is it my turn today? And they're checking who's on dishwasher, who's on empty dishwasher, who's on fold laundry. So I say this, but I have help. But if, for example, they have exams, or there's, you know, and they've got school, and then they've had to, you know, do tuition or club or whatever, and they come home late, then ultimately it will fall on me, right? I'm not going to, you know, leave all the jobs. So it's that ultimate responsibility I'm talking about. But I am all for delegating and sharing and teaching our family members to work as a team and helping, because you learn so much through that.
And Jazakallah, had that really helpful.
How about Rafi? Okay, so I think we've come to the end. We've gone over the hour, so I think we've come to the end. So I will end it there. But I love all the messages that come up. I'm kind of reading them really quickly, but please continue to share. I'm going to put up the recording. Sister Anissa, you raised your hand. Do you want to quickly say something?
Yes, just very quickly.
Yeah.
It's all about setting boundaries, I think, as well. If we don't set the boundaries, then there's nothing to kind of keep everything in, like, together almost. So for example, my husband's always been saying, oh, can't you just cut the grass? Can't you just do it? You're at home. And I said, no, I'm doing my jobs that I do. You never, I'm completely, yeah, okay, you work 11 hours a shift, you come home tired. I'm not going to expect you to come and start cooking and cleaning. But it's setting the boundaries. No, I won't be doing the grass, because then what's going to happen is you'll get used to that. So I've set the boundary in saying, no, you can continue doing the grass when you have time. I'm not going to fall into that trap. And it's something that we discussed in our breakout group.
Yeah.
One sister was saying about and wording. So I think someone did something out of love, yeah, okay, I'll just clean up. And she said, oh, it's, the lady came home and husband had cleaned up, and he said, she goes, okay, thank you so much, but you didn't need to. And then he never helped again. So if she had said, thank you so much, that was really kind, that's really helped me, he would have maybe later on thought, okay, my wife's having a bad day, I'll do it again. But because she said you didn't have to, it's kind of changed the whole thing, hasn't it?
Sometimes that can happen, sis, where you say that and someone still does it. So I guess it depends on that person. Like, if you tell me I didn't have to make you a cup of tea, but I probably still would make you a cup of tea again, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, but I think boundaries is something new that it's come to me in other aspects as well. Setting the boundary, and saying,
setting boundaries is important. Like, you don't have to take it all on out of love.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear, right?
Definitely.
Each of you know your situations. Each of you know what you can, deal with, what is realistic, etc. Each of you know, and these are about agreements that you make as a family.
Yeah, definitely. And so now my son's doing the grass, so my husband's kind of passed it on to him, and it's like he's never done it again since my son's doing it.
It's great. I know my boyfriend started washing the cars, and I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy about that.
That's it, exactly. But definitely, sisters, remind, like, boundaries is good. Boundaries doesn't mean that you're a horrible person.
No, but we can set them kindly.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right? We can set them kindly. Even setting boundaries, we can do lovingly.
Yes.
But clearly, I want to repeat this. Doing things for love doesn't mean doing everything. It's just whatever that you have to do. It's about coming from a different mindset. Yeah. Okay, sisters. So I'm going to bring it to an end here. I think we could talk about this forever. It's so relevant to our everyday, but at the same time, I know you've all got your families to go back to. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. We'll end it there, sisters. Jazakallah khair for sharing and for joining and for your time. May you be blessed with being able to change your mindset to something that serves you and benefits you and your family in this world and the next. I'll leave it there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh yeah, okay, ladies.